Hey Jaden, so you had a question on number 3, and it's talking about the secant of 80. I don't know a whole lot about the secant of 80. However, I know that the secant of 80 is the reciprocal of the cosine of 80. So if I can figure out the cosine of 80, all I need to do is flip it over. However, when you would put cosine of 80 in your calculator, you're going to get a horrible looking decimal. Specifically, this one turns out to be like 0.1736, blah, 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 blah. And first of all, you can't just round if you're not done with the problem. And also, I don't want cosine of 80. I want the reciprocal. And it's hard to take the reciprocal of a decimal. But remember, every number, decimal or otherwise, can be put over 1. So if I want the reciprocal, I really want 1 over this decimal. Or I could think of it as 1 over the non-decimal version, 1 over cosine of 80, which means the secant of 80 can be found in your calculator by doing 1 divided by the cosine of 80. And when you put that in your calculator, you could also treat it as a fraction, the 1 over cosine of 80 instead of 1 divided by. You're going to get 5.76 if you round it to the nearest hundredth. So the number 4, I'm going to do my work down here for number 4. It says, given that tangent of x is 1, I'm going to pause right here. First of all, I'm going to put it into a fraction, and I'm also going to remind myself that tangent is always the opposite leg over the adjacent leg. So if I start with a right triangle, and I pick an angle and call it x, the opposite leg would be a 1, the adjacent leg would be a 1. I can go ahead and know that the hypotenuse would be a root 2, partially because of the Pythagorean theorem, and also, if I give you 1 and 1 here, it has to be an isosceles right triangle, so the hypotenuse is just the short leg times root 2. So I have all my sides filled out. I want the sine of 90 minus x, which is a little confusing. I don't actually want you to subtract. We actually do know this number angle. Because it's an isosceles right triangle, this is a 45-degree angle. When I say 90 minus x, I'm just meaning, in this problem, 90 minus 45 degrees, which is still 45 degrees. But this 90 is saying the angles are complementary. The angle that you start with will always be complementary to the other acute angle in the picture. Now in this one, it's isosceles. Those two numbers are the same. But anytime I'm saying 90 minus x, I just mean, well, you started with one angle, go to the other acute angle. So if I'm looking at this 45-degree acute angle and I want the sine ratio, then I want to put the opposite leg over the hypotenuse. And since I can't leave it like that, I'm going to rationalize my denominator. I will have square root 2 in the numerator and square root 4 in the denominator. So then 13 was your last question. D and E. So we're area to the nearest hundredth. Okay, so I'm talking about a dodecagon. So if I think of the isosceles triangles, a dodecagon would be made of 12 of them. So if I take all the interior angles and divide by 12, each one would be a 30-degree angle. However, the apothem, the height of that triangle, bisects this angle. So this angle here becomes a 15-degree angle. The apothem I drew in has a length of 5. I'm going to find part of the base of the triangle so that I could double it to know the entire base of the triangle. Since that's not a special right triangle, I'm going to have to do it with sine, cosine, or tangent. I'm going to use tangent because opposite the 15-degree angle is an x, adjacent to the 15-degree angle is the 5. So when I do the opposite of divide by 5, I actually already end up solving for x. X would be 5 times the tangent of 15. So for the area of the entire polygon, the entire dodecagon, there would be 12 of these triangles, each one having an area that is 1/2 times the base. Now the base is this entire length, so 2 of those x's. So I could say 10 times the tangent of 15, or just 2 times 5 times the tangent of 15. And then the height is the apothem, which was given to us. So when I put that in my calculator, 2, 5, tangent. When I put all this in my calculator, I am getting 63.7669-ish, and the direction said to the nearest hundredth, so I'm going to put 7 square millimeters. Excuse me. Part E, kind of weird, but it's saying the sides are congruent. So if I could manage to draw a nonagon, which I cannot, this side length is the same thing as the side length of a square. So these sides are the same, they match. The area of the square is 144 square meters. So the area of a square is the side length times itself. I'm telling you, you're going to get 144 when you square some side length, which means the side of the square has to be 12 meters, which means the side of the nonagon is also 12 meters. If I want the area of the nonagon, I need to consider all of the isosceles triangles it would be split into. Since it's a nonagon, there would be 9 of them. 360 divided by 9 is 40. The height, the apothem, will bisect the 40-degree angle. It'll also bisect the side length. Since it's a regular nonagon, all the side lengths are 12, so this whole thing is 12. I bisect it and make this a 6. So all we need to find is the height. I'm going to use another tangent ratio because I don't care about the hypotenuse here. So I'm going to say that tangent of the 20-degree angle is equal to the opposite leg over the adjacent leg. When I do the opposite of dividing by h, I actually don't have it solved yet because I want h on its own, and currently h is being multiplied by the tangent of 20. So I'll find h by doing the opposite of multiplying. I will be dividing by the tangent of 20. So this will be what I put into my final answer. So the area of the entire nonagon, there would be 9 triangles. Each one has an area of 1/2 base. We said the entire base was a 12 times height. This expression is the height of the isosceles triangle. So I'm going to put that in my calculator. Oops, when I do it correctly in my calculator, times 6, not minus, I'm getting about 890. Doesn't give rounding directions. That's weird. I'm going to give rounding directions. If it was multiple choice, you'd say, hey, look, this is how I'd find the answer. If I said round to the nearest 10th, we'd say 890.2 square meters. So hopefully that helps. Sorry it took me so long to answer your questions.